Good morning, everyone, or afternoon. Apologize again for the delay. My name is Matt Waters. I'm the head of sales over here at Inky. Very excited to be here today with Chris. Spent the last day and a half with him and the team here, working on some strategies on how to strengthen the partnership. So we're happy to be here today and deliver Inky as a demo and some other questions around how we're built. So
Yeah. So we'll move on over to an agenda. So I always laughed I laughed a little bit at the name of the webinar, Partnership Saga. I thought it was a little bit like a Star Wars name or something.
yeah.
But we'll try and keep it as quick as possible. I know I've gotten some feedback from a couple of our partners that they don't want death by PowerPoint. They really want to see the product. So we're happy to do that. And I know that we've got Matt Civilak, I hope I said his name correctly. The
Civilak will be joining us and is on. Yep.
The director of sales engineering for Inky. So he's going to take us through a bit of a demo. We'll kick things off a little bit on why we partner together. I'll pass it over to Matt. He'll take us through a couple of slides of what Inky is, how it works, the Inky magic, as we call it. And then we'll jump into the demo and do some Q&A. So why did we partner? At Augmentt, we want to be the central hub for all of our partner security needs. And when we look to partner with other solutions and other companies, there's a couple of things that we always look for. One, and I would say probably the most important is a best-in-class product, best-in-class company, and a company that offers best-in-class support. We want to make sure that any solution that we bring to our partners are just as invested in making our partners successful as we are. Obviously, we look for a hole in our offering. And the third thing is we want to make sure that we're bringing something at a great rate. We always obviously want to make sure that our partners are getting a solution at a really good price point that's going to allow them to go to market and get the best margins possible. Something that I found interesting about Inky is that before they went to market, they spent 4 to 5 years just in R&D, just in research and development. And they didn't sell. You guys didn't sell anything really until you were absolutely 100% sure that you had a solution that was going to save the market from high-end phishing attacks. And I don't think any Inky story would ever be complete without mentioning Dave Baggett, the CEO of Inky. The whole Inky team is incredible, and working with Matt, the two Matts, has been awesome, as well as the whole go-to-market strategy or the whole go-to-market team. They've been really supportive, both of us and our partners. But Dave is just such an interesting cat. I mean, I think he started out his career by creating Crash Bandicoot. Something that I'm sure everyone has some experience with. I know that growing up, something that I learned, Sega Genesis. I'm giving my age away a little bit maybe, but he developed that and sold it to Sega Genesis. And then fresh off the back of that, he went and started his own company and developed Google Flights, or what is now Google Flight. And it's again something that I have a lot of experience with. I've been in sales and we were a lot of traveling. Something that we've definitely spent a lot of time using, and something that I definitely have seen a lot of value in. And his third venture is Inky. So
I think there was a couple in between there, but that's Dave to a T. He's fantastic. He's an unbelievable CEO.
Yeah,
a very product focused, and very happy to have him.
Yeah, someone definitely that we want to partner, right? Someone that's that innovative and successful is usually got a track record over
the very good track record. Yes.
Cool. I'll pass things over to you, and you give us tell me when to move slides.
Yeah, go ahead. So for those of you that are not familiar with Inky, we are a full email protection platform built for MSPs. So not only are we protecting users from phishing attempts, spoof VIPs, malware attacks, et cetera, we're also providing those spam management and filtering capabilities that you would be used to. But where we differ is we can help drive user behavior correctly at the time of a decision. And I know that might take a little minute to get your arms wrapped around, But let me walk you through how Inky is built and, how we would essentially, interact with, your email server. So, you have your basic email user or your bad actor. They're sending an email and it's going to come into Exchange or to G Suite. Inky is not an MX redirect. We sit in line with the mail flow. Office 365 or G Suite would act as the MX. But once that email comes into Exchange through transport rules, that Inky or that email is then sent over to Inky. Here, clip again. They're sent over to Inky. Inky, we analyze it, we classify the email, we put it into 3 different categories: gray meaning neutral, red being danger, yellow being cautious. We're scanning all of the links, we're rewriting all the attachments, or rewriting all the links and scanning all the attachments, running all of our services, categorizing the email, then sending it back to Exchange. From there, the basic workflows and policies you have in place today would continue to stay the same. Junk spam emails would go to a junk folder. Danger emails could go to a quarantine or user quarantine or admin quarantine folder. And then your basic, safe emails or neutral emails would go directly to the user's inbox or mobile device. We, again, are not an MX redirect or an MX-based solution. We sit in line, which makes setup extremely easy, makes all of the interaction with Microsoft already pre-built, and, really, kind of, I guess you could say, another value is you're able to set up a site in, 10 minutes, or have Inky installed on a tenant in one quick phone call. See that happen? Yes. Now, let me introduce you guys or walk you through, the banner technology, which is another separation point. So despite years of awareness training, phishing simulation drills, as you guys all know, employees still click on unsafe emails, especially on their mobile devices. With our banner technology, when Inky sees a malicious email or a potentially malicious email, we're injecting our email assistant to help guide the user in making the right decision. And there are, again, 3 categories of banners: safe, caution, and danger, red, yellow, and gray. A red and gray are kind of self-explanatory. A gray or neutral banner is safe. A red banner indicates a dangerous email. For example, we found a credential harvesting site or a spoofed VIP, or we found malware. In that case, Inky is disarming the email and then sending it to the admin quarantine or the user quarantine. Now, with the caution banner, though, let me explain it a little bit more detail. So as Inky sees more and more email, we're developing a sender profile to help guide the user. For example, if I'm sending an email to one of your customers, the MSPs customers, Inky's going to look at which IP address I'm sending from, what device, what version of Outlook, the time of day I usually write emails. Do I write in UK versus American English? So if I send an email, 2 months from now, and it's from a Ukrainian IP address at 2 in the morning or from an iPad, Inky's going to add a caution banner at the time that email is sent, so the user knows, hey, this isn't from me, and can respond accordingly. These banners are also brandable. Again, we're just injecting through HTML, so you're able to throw your logo on the banner. You're able to report that email and send that email to Inky for analysis. There is over, I think 80 now messages that can be built into the banner, and we are showing the banner in 30 different languages. So injecting this banner into the mail flow allows for some user interaction. And, when a banner is not shown on every email, so a lot of the, email protection products you guys are used to, you might see an external banner on every email from outside the network. It's not guiding the user in any way. It's just a banner that's clunky and, hugs up the screen and provides no value at all. Inky will show a banner when it's necessary and allow the user to interact with that banner, again, which drives the behavior in the correct way.
Yeah, you can use those banners as well. You can click on the report button.
Click on the report button. Again, you can manage whether that email is spam and you want that sent to a spam folder, or you want that to go to gray mail. A million different kind of capabilities.
I find myself using it a lot more, right? Like we rolled out Inky when we partnered, and I said everything. Like I will report everything now.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one more slide, and I'm going to pass it over to Matt Sibilek, our head of sales engineering. Now, unlike content-based filtering, Inky's designed specifically, or was designed specifically to identify ransomware and spear phishing and different impersonation attempts. So we're doing that through our proprietary CDR, content disarm and reconstruct. So you might be familiar with that term in the space. But first, what we're doing is we're stripping the email, we're parsing it, we're performing HTML sanitization where we remove all of the JavaScript and reconstruct the email. We're then launching multiple, concurrent services. So we're looking again at brand impersonations, brand forgery, spoof VIPs, scanning all the attachments, rewriting all the links. And then for emails that we are not certain that they are malicious or that we have found are dangerous, we're again injecting that banner technology that I went over on the previous slide. So happy to again go into more detail or more questions. We do have a Q&A, but I want to make sure that you guys can see this in action. So Matt, are you with us? Introduce yourself and then log in to show the demo.
Matt's raised a hand. There we go.
Yeah.
Promoted downstairs, Matt. You should be able to talk and present now.
Perfect. That is a lot easier now. Cool. Awesome. So if you want to drop your share, I'm good to share now. I got all the privileges. Let me get my screen going.
We're not hearing you.
You're not hearing me. How about now? Can you hear me now?
Still not hearing you, unfortunately. Oh,
Interesting.
Okay. People can hear you. Maybe it's just on our side, so you can work away. We'll just pretend like we're nodding along.
There we go. All right, so you guys may, once you fix it, you'll eventually start hearing me, but I will share my screen and get going for what I have to share. As Matt said, I am the SE director here at Inky. I've been here at Inky for about 5 years, so I've seen where we've been, where we're going. I've been with the full story of where they built Inky before it got started, and essentially as part of the original go-to-market team. So I've got a good plethora of information to share with you guys today in the time that I've been allotted. So the things I like to show during a quick demo like this are the things that come into action with the user banners themselves, the user experience, how people can interact with them from an end user perspective. Then, of course, get you into a little bit of the administrative side of the console to get you experience of what we do as a whole for the admins. So yeah, let's just jump right in. So the first part about Inky, of course, as you've heard, is the banners. The banners are a core part of our product where it's giving information as much additional information to end users as possible so they can make smarter decisions based around the things we find inside of a message. The first you can see here is, of course, a cautionary banner, a yellow caution that we have. There are those 3 levels we talked about, caution being the middle level, but there's also neutral for things we don't find anything wrong with, and of course, dangerous for things we want to think are phishing. So a neutral caution banner like this is a perfect example of us just wanting to notify the end user that, hey, this is something that you've never seen from this individual before, a first-time sender. It's really just the first time you've ever sent an email or seen an email from this particular email address before. And just because it is that first time is something that you may want to know about. Your users may be talking back and forth with many people on a day-to-day basis, but if this is the first time they got an email from a specific sender, why not tell them about it? So a yellow caution banner like this is perfect to show it. Of course, for things that we think are completely benign, so things that maybe aren't inherently dangerous at all, are just normal messages, we can show a gray external banner. A gray external banner is really just a message that may have nothing wrong with it. Inky had no real reason to consider it to be anything dangerous or malicious or spammy or anything like that. But it's just going to still tell you that, hey, it's a gray message. It's coming from the outside. We're going to tell you who it's coming from, and still give the users that key part of being able to report this email from the banners themselves. Again, with them just being HTML, they get injected inside of the actual messages themselves, so that any sort of end user device you could think of, the Apple Mail app, the Gmail app, any sort of client level device your users may utilize, whether it is any of those that are, very popular, they can click on those to report this email without having to push out any sort of application. It's all done on the server side during the install and clicking on report this email. It's super simple, gets you to our reporting page where the users can report something as safe spam or phishing. There's a whole bunch more around that flow that you can definitely discuss in future training seminars and whatnot. But from an actual end user side of the house, of course, gray being the ones that you would see most frequently. Those yellow cautions are the second most frequent, but still not as frequent, of course, because we don't want to inundate you with too many banners. But then, of course, when we get into, let me just move my screen around there, to the actual things that are we consider threats. And so 9 times out of 10, you're not actually ever going to send dangerous messages to your end users. You're going to be sending them to the admin quarantine. You're going to send them to the user quarantine. Maybe sometimes you'll send them to junk for specific reasons. We do have some people that send dangerous messages to junk because they still want users to have access to them, but because they need access to every message they have. So there could be a reason why you do see them, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to be sending these directly to an admin quarantine or a user quarantine. But of course, the danger message is really where the magic of Inky is happening. It's really where we put in most of the efforts to solve things like brand impersonations or user impersonations, or things like QR code attacks that happen on a very frequent basis these days. So we built very core technologies to make sure that the impersonation style threats that everyone faces these days is something that is our core competency. And those two really break out into 2 main things. Like I said, it's brand impersonation and user impersonation. And the cool thing about our brand impersonation is that for every single message that gets sent to Inky for analysis, we are rendering every single one of them in headless Chrome browsers to physically see what they look like. Now, we're not actually like painting a screen anywhere on some like server or anything like that paints a screen. We're just picking out things that are part of the HTML of the message and rendering it so we can say, okay, does this look like something that's considered a well-known brand? We start picking out things that we think are classified as what we call brand indicative. And if you think about it for any number of seconds, you could probably just think of what they are. It's your logos, your disclaimer statements, brand indicative text, copyright symbols, privacy statements, locations of where the corporations are located. Anything about a message that is considered brand indicative, we're just going to say, hey, this message will look like it's coming from a well-known brand. And in this case, Microsoft. It's not making any initial determination on if it's phishing or not. It's just saying, is this coming from a well-known brand? And if it's yes, then we'll then put it through the rest of the checks and say, all right, is the sender of that message that looks like Microsoft truly being delivered from that source? Of course, that's when you start getting into things like SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. But we also have a litany of other backend filters that we use that we keep track of where Microsoft sends mail from. And of course, a whole bunch of different brands that we track personally. So SPF and DKIM and DMARC are, of course, utilized to confirm sources of sending information. But there is some first-party information and knowledge that we have internally because we know that not everyone keeps those records up to date for their branded information. A cool thing about the impersonation or the actual brand impersonation checks we're rendering the message is something that allowed us to pick up on QR codes pretty quickly too. So whenever we do render out a message, of course, I'm saying where you are rendering out that HTML of a message to figure out if something is a brand indicative. We also render out if there is any QR codes inside of them. And when we can see a QR code that's being rendered, we can then scan it ourselves using some local packages to say, what is that QR code's URL? And if that URL is something we can link to, we can easily identify it as a category of QR code and then run that link that's behind the QR code through our entire link analysis process. So of course, every single link we're actually identifying inside of a message is being rewritten and being checked to see if it's malicious or not. But because QR codes were hidden behind, of course, a QR code, and we weren't able to get to that analysis first, we were able to tap into our computer vision tests that we're already doing for brands to then look for QR codes as well. So it's a cool little side benefit from doing the brand impersonations from many years ago. But I know QR codes are extremely popular these days, and last year being where they really sort of become more and more prevalent. So yeah, so that's really brand impersonation, and then finally user impersonation. So again, I like to really talk about our detection method as impersonation based. Most fish you get are likely trying to impersonate something. That's something being a well-known individual or a well-known brand. We spoke about those brands, and of course the individuals are next. So individuals being either 2 different forms. One, it's your VIP at your company. So think your CEO, C-suite people, directors, VPs, whatever it is. we can keep a list of individuals that are considered VIPs within your organization. And if someone tries to impersonate them, so Michelle York is the impersonated individual right now, is being caught as a spoof VIP, we can easily call them out as that individual being impersonated. This happens on any sort of email you can think of, text only. There's nothing inherently wrong with the message except that it's being impersonated. So really, really hard to detect unless you're looking for that impersonated individual. So that is a more hard-coded method. So our VIP list is something that you could fill out for individuals that you considered more of a likely threat to be impersonated. But on top of that, of course, our sender profiling that Matt spoke about is happening all the time behind the scenes to look for things that we call potential sender forgeries. And so this is just a test I did when I purchased a new domain back when I first started. And Inky was able to say that, hey, you're sending a message from someone that looks like me to my Inky business account. And potentially that may not be Matt because it's coming from a different address that I've never sent an email from before. So because it knows how I send mail on a day-to-day basis, I send a bunch of email that Inky scans. It knows that potentially this person that looks like me may not be me. Now, of course, if I was to report this message as safe, it would start to look like me in the model and start adding that address to being a safe sender or a safer sender. But if I was to report this as a phish, it'll automatically treat it as a fishy, spoofed individual in the future messages there. So, cool. So that's everything from the user side of the house. Of course, like I said, report this email is a key part of that process. The banners being HTML, so they work across the board. And of course, there's 3 different levels of banners that do get shown: the gray neutrals, the yellow caution, and the red dangerous. And then now I will jump right on into our dashboard. Again, I'll save any questions you guys have. Happy to answer anything you have at the end of this. But yeah, so let me just jump right into it. Of course, our dashboard will show you everything that's going on within your specific tenant and, of course, all of your customer tenants in a multi-tenant basis. So Pablo Capital is my fake demo account. You can go look me up on LinkedIn. I have got a fake honeypot over there that I get a whole bunch of real examples from. But it is also my MSP. So my MSP Pablo Capital has a whole bunch of teams that I actually have access to. So I can look between all of those on our simple selector there. But again, what you expect from an initial overview page is showing what's going on within a tenant within that specific subset of time. You can download that for a PDF. But where most of the analysis and really most of the functionality comes from Inky is within our analysis tab here, where you can look and see about every single message that has been processed by us. Right now, I have a filter up that has reports. So I'm looking at all messages that have been reported, but I can look for everything, where then I can just say, okay, this is basically a blank list of all the messages that have been scanned by Inky. I can start looking in very granular levels of filtering if I want to find something specific about a mail. So something I find pretty cool is that you can do something like, if I knew a specific attachment hash that was given to me that has known to be malicious, I can say, okay, give me the attachment hash value, send it in, add that as a filter, and now you can see all the different emails that have that specific attachment hash. Now, of course, this message that I found with that attachment hash is really nothing wrong with it, but you can get the idea that you can filter based around whatever you really like to find a list of messages. And what's cool about that is that this is really working behind the scenes to allow you to do bulk functionality. So the filters give you an avenue to get to messages. And then those messages give you an avenue to do things like, well, you can remediate that message or delete them. So if you get an attachment hash value that you wanted to delete across your entire customer base, you could just click all of them and then click delete. And if I wanted to delete all 16 of those messages from this account, then great, I could delete all 16 of them. And really, sky's the limit for that feature there. We can remove this filter. And you could think of any other idea you could think of there. So like if you want to have a specific connecting IP that you know sent that message with a header value of a from email address of it's coming from, whatever, notifications, no reply, LinkedIn. Any sort of filter you can think of can get you to the point of being able to do bulk functionality, which is where this comes in to become more and more powerful. And then from a high level, there's of course a couple different built-in reports. If you want some PDF-able reports, you can come and look at the threat level overall, just to give you some high-level information. The user reports give you an idea like who's doing reporting. Again, simple high-level reports that are all be able to be downloaded. and then link clicks. We do track every single link click that's happening if you are using our link rewriting service. I say if because some people use other services before us, like people using SEGs or secure email gateways before us. So they may already be doing link rewriting without us, but of course it's all included. You just have the choice to not do it or you want to do it. But of course we track them all. You'll see where they're all going, see who's doing the clicking, see all those top stuff there. And you can always do some searching based around that, which it leads me to the final section here of custom dashboards. The observations list I showed you earlier is really just a quick list to show you what's going on. But the custom dashboards allow you to build out as many dashboards as you want with different sort of pie charts, widgets, with addressable filters in each single one of them. And just to give you a high level overview of whatever you can think of from a business perspective of needing a high level dashboard available. I think I missed this last time, but if you do click into any one of these messages, you do get a details view of each individual message that gives you more in-depth information about that specific message you're looking at. So the timeline of the mail being like where the headers are going from, the body, if it's available. So depending on if the body of the message is in someone's inbox, we can go retrieve it. If it's in someone's quarantine, we're not going to be able to see it. But as we can see here, this big phishing message is here's the message. So it's completely, it's a terrible message. It is phishing entirely. You can see that this is not something that, he would likely use there. We got it caught there. So again, attachments, images, links, anything that would be inside of it will give you a high level information about the metadata, where it's being sent from, the sender location. This one's come from Japan. And then if there were any allow list and block list. So yeah, Matt and Chris, I don't know how much time I was allocated. I was told 10 minutes, so I think I just hit that mark, but I'm happy to go further.
No, you nailed it. I nailed it. Thanks, man.
Awesome.
And just as an aside, when you were talking about the user impersonation, I was saying to Matt that I've gotten a couple of emails from Derek, our CEO, and usually to my Gmail account, honestly, asking for me to go pick up some gift cards or whatever it is.
Shoot me a text on this new number. Yeah.
Tell me that you guys never get those anymore because he catches them all. But if anyone has any other questions, feel free to email us. Reach out to your account executive, reach out to myself, reach out to sales@augmentt.com. We'll make sure to get those answers for you, and look forward to awesome demos. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely. We love it, guys. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone.